This is Alberto, a high-level player who recently asked me to help him with his serve. So now you're about to watch the video stroke analysis lesson that I made for him, showing him how he can improve his slice serve out wide on the ad side. Now, while watching this analysis, if you think to yourself, man, I would love to have Ryan do this for me and help me with my forehand or my backhand, my serve, whatever you want to improve, just know they're $100 and you can order one by clicking the link in the description at any time. So enjoy this analysis and you got this.
Hey, Alberto, it's Ryan from 2minutetennis.net. Hey, thank you so much for the opportunity to do this video stroke analysis for you on your slice serve out wide. Absolutely, as a lefty, you want to be able to do many things to frustrate your opponent. And one of those things is the out wide serve on the ad side. And really, lefties hate it too. Lefties usually hate playing lefties because you're used to a right-hander. So let's go over the things that you're doing well first, and then we'll talk about how you can improve this lefty out wide serve. All right, Alberto, the first thing I want to show you that I really like about your serve, and there's so much, like I could talk for quite a while about all the stuff I love about your serve. But the one thing I want to mention right now is I love how you have your tossing hand higher than the racket in the trophy position. So this produces a beautiful shoulder tilt. In fact, if I show you this from the other angle, from the side angle, you'll see this right here. We'll use this angle right here. So you got the shoulder tilt that you want. Your shoulders are in line with your elbow, your hitting elbow. But if we go straight across from your hand, you'll see that your hand is slightly higher than the racket. That's how long you want to keep that tossing hand up. So I absolutely love the fact that you're doing that correctly. The second thing I want to show you is that you're exploding up with your legs before you hit the birthday hat. So what I mean by hit the birthday hat is, imagine, not every pro hits the birthday hat, but just imagine if you're going to hit a birthday hat with your racket, that move right there. You are exploding up with your legs before you hit the party hat, right? And so a lot of times, and you'll see pros make this mistake all the time, the racket begins dropping and the racket will be back here and then the body explodes. And that's not what you want. You want your body to begin exploding when your racket is somewhere in this area right here. So for instance, this would be Riley Opelka and like Grigor Dimitrov. Back here is where Federer and Osaka and Nadal and Djokovic are. You look at Kyrgios, he's kind of in the middle there. So anywhere in this range is where you want the racket to be as the body is beginning to explode up. So we take your leg drive, which is right there. So here is your leg bend, I should say. There's your head going down to that green line right there. And where is your racket when we see your head peak up above that line? Right there. We already start to see your head popping up above that line, which means your legs are driving up. And it's before you get into the trophy pose. So it's actually right there. So that's perfect. That's actually very much Kyrgios. So you're right in the middle there. Awesome. That maximizes the benefit of the body going up because your body begins going up and you get the full drop of the racket going down as the body is going up, and it produces a big shoulder stretch, which then allows you to swing really fast. So no matter what we change or the things that I suggest you change about your serve from this point forward, keep those two ideas, among other things, but keep those two ideas because the fact that your tossing hand stays up so long, the fact that you're driving up before you hit the party hat, those make your serve awesome. All right, Alberto, so now here are your areas for improvement. Look, we're trying to get you to be able to serve out wide, to slice it, really swing it out so it's tough and it curves, right? We don't want it to just go out wide but be in a straight line. We actually want it to slide out. All right, four things. Number one, your grip. We're going to talk about your grip, the current grip you're using, and the grip I want you to use. Because right now you're not using a Continental. I don't know if that's the typical grip that you use, But if this is the grip that you currently use, I would suggest that you change to a true continental grip. So again, I'll show you the grip you're currently using and then the grip you should be using. Number two, you need more coiling at the beginning of your serve. There's something that is unique to a pinpoint stance server that actually allows them to get more coil than a platform stance server. So I'm going to show you Ben Shelton. I'm going to show you JJ Wolf. I'm going to show you Felix Auger-Aliassime. I'm going to show you what these world-class players are doing with their front foot that allows them to coil more. This is really going to set the stage for you being able to get that slider to go out wide off the court. Number three, your toss currently is too high and too far to the right. Now, your toss is slightly too high. So I am going to ask you to lower your toss, and I'll show you how to do that. But I don't want you to think that it has to be dramatically lower. It just has to be slightly lower. You're a very good player. Excellent player. It's obvious. So we're going to be making slight adjustments in order to make massive gains. Someone your level doesn't need huge, gigantic changes to your serve. It's a little move here, a little move with your foot, a little change with the toss, right? It's little tiny changes that make all the difference in the world. We're also going to have to get that toss more left because right now your toss is too far to the right. This is why your ball is going in a straight line and you can't swing it out to the right to a right-hander's backhand pulling them off the court. Number four, you are currently swinging straight toward the net. I'm going to put you side by side with Taylor Fritz. I've got a left-handed version of him hitting a serve out wide. And we're going to see the difference between where you're swinging and where he's swinging in order to get the ball to pull the opponent off the court. It is critical that you change the toss, so number three, in order to allow number four, the correction of number four to occur. So, all right, let's get started. Now, Alberto, number one, the grip. I'm not sure if this is the typical grip you use, but it is definitely not a continental. And this means it's going to be very difficult for you to really put the spin on the ball that you're looking for, both with a slice serve and with a topspin serve. If we look here, we can actually see, and I'll show you what it is exactly, but I can actually look at your knuckle and see where it is on the racket. So you probably love your flat serve. Like you probably can really hit great aggressive flat serves with that grip. But it's very similar, by the way, to Rublev, the grip that you have. But it just means for you, you're not able to swing that ball out wide. Let me show you the grip you've got. Let me show you the grip you should use. Now, in order to understand grips, you want to know about the hand and the handle. Let's first talk about your hand. There are two spots you want to keep track of: the base knuckle of your index finger and your heel pad. Most, really even coaches I see on Instagram or YouTube shorts talking about the grip, they always focus on the knuckle, but that's not enough to make sure that your grip is correct. You also need to keep track of your heel pad. Now, those two spots need to go on a very specific panel, and that is panel number 2. Let me draw that a little more accurately. There we go. So since you are left-handed, we count to the left on the octagon. You can see, by the way, the racket is straight up and down with the strings facing left and right. And so the top panel is panel number 1, right? So if you're driving down the road and you see someone sitting on top of a stop sign, they're sitting on panel number 1. This is panel number 2 because we're counting left because you're left-handed. Panel 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So what you want to do for your serve is you need to place your knuckle and heel pad square up on panel number 2. You are currently placing your knuckle and heel pad high on 3. So this is 3 in Eastern forehand. And you're, let me redraw those. You're a little bit higher on 3. So you're like this. There we go. That's perfect. That is exactly where you are placing your knuckle and heel pad. 1, 2, 3. So you're high up on 3. And so we'll call it kind of like a semi-Eastern, if you will. You're a little shy of a true Eastern grip. So it's close to a continental, but it's actually quite far away when it comes to the angle, right? So from the middle of the panel to the corner is 22.5 degrees. You know this from math, but 360 divided by 8 is 45. So 360 divided by 16 is 22.5. So this is a 22.5 degree difference, and you're a little bit even farther. So you're probably about 30 degrees off on your grip. And this is probably why you love just bombing flat serves and you're not able to get the spin that you want. What we should be using is knuckle and heel pad on pure on number 2. And you might feel or like say right now, you're like, Ryan, I'm on panel number 2. You're not. A lot of times players think they're using panel 2 and they're not using panel 2 and the video doesn't lie, right? So we want to use a continental grip. Let me show you kind of where you're getting in trouble with the grip, and then I'll put you side by side with Nadal to show you the angle of the racket at the beginning of the serve. Now, Alberto, something you're doing at the beginning of the serve may be causing this grip to change and to be what you might not even want it to be. I want you to notice how your hand opens up and re-grips the racket. Watch your hand. See that move right there? This is so common. The hand opens up, and then you grab on, and then you serve. You get your grip. Now watch, your hand opens up. You're about to serve, and then as you're about to serve, your hand opens up a second time. And that gives your hand the ability to wrap around the racket. If you are opening up your hand over weeks, months, and years of developing your serve, the moment you open up your hand, it is free to go wherever it wants. And I've had arguments with people. They're like, Ryan, I'm using a continental grip. And I'm like, George, you're not using a continental. And then you get on the court with them, they hit a serve, and as soon as they serve, you grab onto their hand and you don't let them change it, and they look down, they say, oh my gosh, I would have bet $1,000 that I was using a continental. It's like, nope. So you are definitely not using a continental just from where we saw your knuckle. And so not opening up the hand is going to be critical. You're going to have to place your knuckle and heel pad on panel number 2 and then no more opening it up. The problem is opening up your hand like that and then again, it is so hardwired into your motion, you probably had no idea that you were opening it up and closing it back up again. So you're going to have to very diligently go through the learning process and film yourself and make sure that your hand is not opening up, because once your hand opens up, it's free to go back to the grip you don't want to use. Now, one thing I would recommend in order to learn this grip is to copy Nadal's racket angle. You can see how severe his racket angle is. Now, it's not that he's curling his wrist and just, grabbing onto a continental and just turning the racket to be open. Like, I don't want you to have this angle and then say, oh, I'm going to have this angle. So it's like Nadal. So the racket is facing more up while using the same grip that you always do. What I want you to do, and so you won't be able to practice what I'm about to say with the ball in your hand. So no balls in your hand. Just grab onto the throat of the racket, Alberto, with your right hand. No left hand on the racket in this position, but just hold on to the throat of the racket with your right hand. And I want you to open the racket so that it's much more up than over. Okay, so I want your racket to be much more facing up. Then grab onto a true continental grip, which is much more backhand than what you're currently using. That is how I want you to hold the racket and to begin your serve. With a true continental, where you don't open up your hand twice, which just opens you up to wrapping your hand more around the racket and using a grip that's not going to let you hit a slider. And then you need to have your racket face more open at the beginning. Think Raonic, think Stefan Edberg from 40 years ago, one of my favorite players growing up. And obviously Nadal here with his racket face this open. No finger change, no opening up, have the racket face open, and the chance of using a pure continental grip, a much more backhand-ish grip, is going to help you greatly. You'll be able to use that same grip, by the way, on your topspin and flat serves. Alberto, the second idea, you need more coil at the beginning of your serve. One of the ways that pinpoint stance servers can get more coil than a platform stance is what they do with their front foot. Now, I want you to watch at the beginning of your serve where your front toe is pointing. Your toe is pointing inside the court. Let's just say at about a 30-degree or 45-degree angle, right? Somewhere in there. I want you to notice throughout your serve, the angle stays the exact same. You always have your toe pointing inside the court. So there's no change in your front foot position. Now, if I put you side by side with J.J. Wolf, he went to Ohio State University. He was ranked #1 in college tennis, I believe the year or two before Ben Shelton was down in Florida. There's a big difference between what his front foot does and what your front foot does. So we can see front foot pointing in, same for you, front foot pointing in. So the front foot is not parallel to the baseline. Throughout the serve, your foot stays pointing the same direction. Watch what his foot does. Look how it pivots on the ball of his foot, and it's like he's going to foot fault with his heel. Look how it's almost like he's trying to step onto the baseline with his heel. That allows for so much more coiling of the body, where when you serve, I know this isn't exactly apples to apples because he's serving right now on the deuce side. As a lefty, I reverse the video, but he's on the deuce side right now. You're on the ad side. But just look where his chest is facing. Look where his knees are facing. There is so much turn that he has and coil that he has, where he's rotating his body away from the court, allowing him to uncoil when he explodes up. What I want you to do is practice foot faulting before you bring your foot up, Alberto, and you're going to foot fault with your heel. You're going to rotate, then bring the foot up. So you can see that order, right? You rotate, foot fault with your heel, then bring your back foot up. This is going to set the stage for you to have a better toss and a better swing path to get the spin you want. You should be doing this on every one of your serves, top spin, flat, slice, it doesn't matter. But having the front foot turn is the advantage that a pinpoint stance user has in order to allow them to coil more. Here's Felix. I made him left-handed. And I want you to watch his front foot. See that turn right there? That turn turns his lower body, like from an aerial view, counterclockwise, which helps him get a lot more turn. Here's Shelton. Watch his front foot. This is a small detail. That move right there. Now, he does it a little bit less than JJ, but I want you to practice it like JJ. And JJ can serve. The fastest I've seen JJ serve is 136, which is obviously really big. And of course, Ben can serve in the 140s. But that move, you got to turn. So what he's currently doing, where he takes the heel and moves it closer to the baseline, that's what allows the knees to point back and the chest to point back and the turn. It also leads to this butt cheeks. Like a lot of people say that's the hip. It's not a hip. That's not his hip. That's his butt cheek. We're actually looking at his right butt cheek. So here, it's all in a straight line. He's not jetting his hip out with his body facing the camera. He's turning. And what we're actually looking at is his butt cheek right here. And so you want to make sure of that. You got to think like, oh, it's almost like there's a wall here. And he's going to touch the wall with his butt cheek, not his hip. And because, with the hip, you can really hurt yourself. Like that's just not a comfortable position to put yourself in if you're actually trying to jet the hip out. What you actually want to do is coil, and it's actually the butt cheek that is hitting a wall if there was somebody standing there or a wall there. But that's what you want. Rotate the front foot, then bring the back foot up. And you'll bring it up right behind the front foot. Alberto, number 3. Your toss is slightly too high. That's the first part of this when it comes to your toss. So the way we measure a toss is with the timing. It's called a toss timing. And the way you do it is you have the ball near the top of the head. So we'll do it right there. That's fine. So near the top of the head, and you put a timer down. And you see how long it takes from this moment until you contact the ball. For example, we want it to be somewhere between 0.6 and 0.9 seconds. From this point right here until you hit the ball, it should be somewhere between 0.6 and 0.9. This is the range of acceptability. So let's see. So there's 0.6. And there's 0.9, 0.89, 0.9. And there's contact. So you're at a full second. The reason this is important, Alberto, is because if you have 1 second to swing, you have to swing your racket so that you're hitting the ball after 1 second. So imagine if you only gave yourself 0.83 seconds. Would you have to move your racket faster or slower? You'd obviously have to move your racket faster. The definition of speed is distance over time. When you have distance over time, like miles per hour, if you have less time to do something, you have to go faster. So let's take a look at some pros and at their toss timing. So we'll go right there. Ball at the top of the head. And it just has to be somewhere near the top of the head. Based on the frame rate of the video, you try to get as close as you can. So remember, you were, somewhere between 0.96, 1 second. And Federer making contact, 0.83. Check out Ben Shelton. There's the ball at the top of the head. See his toss timing. 0.76. Smack dab in the middle between 0.6 and 0.9. Taylor Fritz. Near the top of the head. 0.78. And J.J. Wolf. Top of the head. 0.65. He's been the lowest of the pros we've seen. What that means is he's not contacting lower. It's certainly not what that means. It just means he's only giving himself from this point right here 0.65 seconds to get to there, where you're giving yourself a full second sometimes. Sometimes you're a little bit lower than that, but I found one where it was a full second. If you're giving yourself a full second to do something, and he's giving himself 0.65 seconds to do it, he's obviously having to swing faster. And it's that racket speed that's going to help impart the spin that you need in order to make that ball curve. It's also going to help you to hit faster flat serves if you're not trying to put spin on the ball. So now let's talk about the placement of the toss. So many coaches believe that you should use the same toss no matter the serve, because what they're trying to do is say, hey, we want to disguise the serve that you're going to hit. So use the same toss, and then you can hit flat, slice, kick, tee, body, out wide, and your opponent doesn't know what you're going to do. The problem I have with that idea is it often makes it difficult for juniors and adults who use that type of toss to make actual and real differences between all of the serves. If you're Roger Federer, if you're Serena Williams and you want to have a toss that's the same every time, that's one thing. But I'd rather have tosses that were slightly different, and then I can really hit great serves, rather than just using the same toss and then my serve doesn't really cause any problems for the opponent. They don't really see much of a difference, no matter, I'm not really disguising anything because I can't really do much different with my with my serves. So I don't believe in that idea. I believe you should have different tosses, whether slight or drastically, different tosses to help you maximize the quality of the serve and your ability to hold serve. So I've got you side by side with Arthur Ashe here, obviously one of the greats. And I made him left-handed, and I want to show you this serve. So this serve, I think this is from an old Vic Braden video. And Vic Braden talked about how this serve that they recorded, it was 102 miles an hour, and it hit the side fence over here before it reached the baseline. So just think about that. Your opponent is standing right here. Sorry, I'm just trying to draw them. Right? Your opponent's standing right there. And you hit in the box, and you hit the side fence before it crosses the extension of the baseline out to the fence. He said it was Vic Braden, Hall of Fame coach. He always would bring the pros in, and he would analyze their videos or their technique and their strategy and their match play, and it was crazy what he would do. He was just an innovator in every sense of the word. And he said it was the fastest serve they had ever seen do that. The fastest slice serve that ever hit the side fence before it reached the baseline. So trust me, it would be an ace. Nobody is going to return that ball. So let's look at his toss. And what you notice about this, and this is a slice serve, is how far off to the left the toss is. If we draw a straight line down from the ball, look how it is outside of his body. So the yellow line is straight down from the toss, and his body is here. Okay? So now we look at your toss, trying to serve out wide, and we go to contact, draw a straight line down, and it's in line with your right foot. That is a big difference. So I want you to toss a little bit lower and then drastically more left. You have to get, if we can get this exactly the way Ash is, I want you to practice, and you can see the difference between kind of his hip and the ball right there, and then the hip and the ball here, is I want you to toss at least a foot more to the left. That's absolutely at least a foot. So toss more left. This is going to allow you to hit that slider out wide. The more your toss goes to the right, the more your toss from Arthur Ashe over here, the more you toss right, the flatter your serve is going to be. And the only way to actually hit a slice serve is to miss it wide. Like you actually have to hit it out for it to be a slice. Otherwise, it's just going to go in a straight line, and you're just going to end up hitting it right to your opponent's backhand. Like it never really pulls them off the court, and you lose the advantage of being a left-hander. So toss the ball lower and more off to the left. And you'll notice all of a sudden, now you're actually able to curve that ball out wide. Now, the last thing we have to talk about is the swing path. Now, this should naturally take care of itself, Alberto, when you toss more left. So I've got you next to Taylor Fritz. I've just reversed the video. And let's first check out this serve. This is a tournament out in California. This is a couple months before the pandemic. And I want you to look how he's pulling the opponent off the court. And then he's able to hit behind him. Watch him wrong foot him and hit behind him. Right? The benefit of serving out wide. You can either hit into the open court, or as they recover, you can hit behind them. The key here is we have to look at the direction you're swinging versus the direction he's swinging as he's striking. So before, during, and after contact. So let's look at his first. So we know the direction that he's serving, right? He's serving out wide. He's pulling the opponent off the court. The opponent ends up outside the doubles alley. Well, he's hitting the ball with the yellow line. He's hitting the ball the direction of the yellow line. But he's not swinging that direction. In fact, he's swinging toward this logo. That's actually a WTA logo, but it's written backward because I reversed the video. But that's a WTA, and you can see that, WTA logo. He's swinging toward that logo. Check out his racket and the way, look at his hand. Look at his left hand, the direction his hand is traveling. all of his energy is swinging that way. He is swinging off to the left. This is critical when it comes to getting the rotation and the spin that you want on the ball. He is making this ball curve by getting tremendous RPM on that ball. And the way you do that is by getting your strings to face, there we go. Getting your strings to face off to the right as your racket travels off to the left. That disparity between where the strings are pointing and where the racket is traveling is what imparts the spin. He is not swinging straight toward the net. He is swinging off to the left. If you look at the doubles line here, you can extend the doubles line and kind of understand there's the vertical line on the fence of the doubles line. Look how far over he is swinging. That's probably 10 feet off to the left. I would say 10, from this doubles line, I would say about 5 feet, 6 feet. So that is the equivalent for you of this pole, that support beam in the fence. When you swing, though, you're swinging forward. So you're swinging in between those poles. You're swinging basically the extension of the singles line where it hits the fence, which is right there. So here's the singles line, and I'm going to draw the extension of the singles line into the fence, which is right there, and then we go straight up. So you're swinging toward the extension of the singles line. So the equivalent of that is here for Fritz, and then right there. So the equivalent would be you swinging, I think that's like a wealth management logo, but he's not swinging there. He's swinging over here. So that's definitely 15 feet over to the left. So what you have to do is not only toss more left like Ash, because he's really the epitome of what I want you to do. I want you to swing that way and embrace it. All you have to embrace the fact that the toss is off to the left and swing off to the left. This is just a perfect example, though, of the fact that the left edge leads, right? That's one of the reasons why you got to make sure you have the continental grip, because I had to adjust your grip because I knew I wanted to adjust your toss and adjust your swing path. And if you don't change the grip, you'll hit these trees in the back, like over the fence. So we had to adjust your grip so that the ball didn't go that way and hit those trees, but it actually went in the box and curved as it went into the box. So swing way off to the left of your target. You've got the continental grip now. You're going to learn to coil the front foot so that you can really turn the body like JJ and Felix and Ben. You're going to toss lower and more left, and you're going to swing off to the left to embrace all of those ideas that we just talked about. That's when you're going to start sliding the ball off the court. All right, Alberto, here they are, your serve solutions. Number one, use a true continental grip, right? So knuckle and heel pad are going to be on panel number 2. It's critical that you don't open the hand, that you keep your hand closed throughout the beginning of the motion. And the reason is you are prone to not using a continental. So if you open up your hand, that'll be your hand's opportunity, and it'll seize the opportunity to change the grip unbeknownst to you. And then all of a sudden you're not using the grip that you need in order to do all these other ideas. And I want you to start with the racket wide open like Nadal. So have the racket more open than vertical, right? So past 45 degrees. The way to do that is actually hold the throat of the racket only with your right hand. Open the racket to the Nadal angle, which is actually past 45 degrees open, then grab on. That'll give you the best chance to use a true continental grip. You got to have a very backhandish grip. Like, don't think of a power grip. Think of a very spin grip where you can really feel that the racket's on its edge. This is going to set you up for success. Number 2, I want you to practice foot faulting with your heel, right? So this is going to allow you to practice the coil. Obviously, I don't want you to foot fault, but at first, in order to give yourself permission to do it the way you need to, and to get your knees to point to the back fence a little bit, get your chest to really coil away from the target and away from the court, showing your back to your opponent. I want you at the beginning of your serve to turn your body, pivot on the ball of your foot, and practice foot faulting with your heel. Then you bring your left foot up and you swing, right? Get used to that because you should be doing that on all of your serves, not just your slice serve. This is the hallmark of players who have a super powerful serve with a pinpoint stance. Number 3, I want you to toss lower and more left. Now, I actually forgot to mention to you how to toss lower, and I apologize for that. And I realized that as I was making this graphic. I said, oh, darn it, I forgot to tell it, but it's so simple. You just want to practice tossing slower. The actual action of the toss, if you make it slower, and if you feel like your right hand is going up slower, then the ball will not go as high. Simply put, your right arm goes up faster than Federer's, than Nadal's, than Ben's, than JJ's, right? Your tossing arm goes up slower than theirs. That's why their toss is lower. It doesn't take so long for that ball to go way up in the air and come back down. If you give yourself slightly less time, you will have to swing slightly faster, which is a good thing, right? People are always like, how do I get more racket speed? Well, you can simply just give yourself less time to swing and you'll have to go faster. If you've ever been late to work or late to school, you know you got to drive a little faster than maybe you normally. It's the exact same idea. So toss a little bit slower. That's going to help you to gain more racket speed. And you're going to allocate that racket speed to spin, to speed, whatever you want. In addition, you're going to have to toss a little bit more left. And I would actually say about 10, 12 inches more to the left. This is going to allow you to actually carve the ball and get the spin that you want. And this then leads you to number 4, which you're now going to be able to swing more left than normal. So no more swinging towards your target. You might actually on the ad side have to say, okay, where is slightly outside of the doubles line that extends all the way to the fence? Think about where on the fence you're going to swing. And you're going to swing about 5-10 feet to the left of the fence. As weird as that is, I don't mean of the fence, of the extended doubles line on the fence. You're going to have to really think of swinging that direction. Now, the ball's not going to go there because of the exaggerated grip now compared to what you normally use. And you're going to be leading with the left edge of the racket. You're going to be able to get that ball to curve off to the right. And when it bounces, it's actually going to pull the opponent off the court. So I can tell you this, your opponents are not very happy that you took this video stroke analysis lesson with me. I'll tell you that. So Alberto, work on these ideas one at a time in the order in which I taught them. So work on number 1, then number 2, then number 3, then number 4. If you take 1 week to do each idea, it'll take you about a month to practice all of these ideas and to really start to own it and start to feel great with it. So work on these ideas and there's no doubt you're going to gain confidence, win more matches, and play much better tennis. This is Ryan Reedy from 2minutetennis.net. Alberto, you got this.